Welcome, welcome everyone to the next edition of the Stand Course podcast. Today, I am joined by the incredible Gary Forbes. Now, many of you know him from his days in the NBA, but his greatest battles have been off the court. Living with type 1 diabetes, Gary has faced challenges most athletes have never even imagined, but he's turned those obstacles into fuel for resilience, leadership, and purpose. And his journey is about inspiring people to rise above adversity. And we are going to talk today about turning adversity into opportunities for success. Gary, welcome to the Stand Course podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Pleasure to be here.
Very excited. And before we get started, I ask all of my guests, what is your favorite food?
I'm a foodie. My favorite food, anything Asian cuisine. I'm all for
That's
Asian cuisine.
awesome.
Yeah.
Asian cuisine. What's your favorite dish?
So like American Chinese food, sesame chicken with some chicken fried rice. And for Korean, pretty much anything my partner makes. I got, Korean barbecue, bibimbap. It's like this fried rice kind of thing. Everything Korean. I'm all for.
I love that. I love that. Well, I would like to, before we get into the meat of the program today, tell us what you're working on right now. What's up? What's up since the NBA?
Been recently removed from professional basketball. I've been retired 6 years now. In those 6 years, I've delved into more advocacy and being an entrepreneur, creating the Soul Survivors platform, which is a children's multimedia platform offering empowerment, encouragement, storytelling, and just support for children with chronic health conditions, where we help students, educators, hospitals improve cultural competency through inclusion and empowerment, as well as health literacy.
Oh, wow. Sounds so exciting. And through the journey, I am sure that a lot of what you're explaining to them is how to turn adversity into those opportunities.
Yeah, I didn't. Hindsight, looking back, I never understood what my mom and dad were doing for me, and I guess preparing me and putting all these different shields of armor, with optimism, with positivity, with stick-to-itiveness, and just consistency to do what you're made to do, and that succeed.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's break it down. We're going to break down each of these ingredients for success. So we're going to talk about mindset, optimism, and consistency, which we're calling stick-to-itiveness. I love that one.
Yes, yes,
I really
yes.
like that word. It's a good
Thank you.
word.
Thank you.
We
Thank
should maybe make a t-shirt for that.
you. Yes.
But let's talk about mindset. And when we talk about mindset, like, do you have a practice? Like, how do you keep yourself from, going down into a slump if something bad happens, or how do you keep that positive mindset?
Well, I think even that the way reframing that, it's like, bad things happen. I like to relate things to sports. Playing professional basketball. There's a saying, "Ball is life," and it is kind of a part of that. You're gonna miss shots in the game. You're not gonna go 100 for 100, or you're not gonna make every shot. That doesn't mean that you're not a great shooter or you didn't score a lot of points. Steph Curry is the greatest three-point shooter of all time. He makes 4 out of 10 shots. So, if you look at someone who's the greatest, no one is probably ever catching him for a very long time, and he only makes 4 out of 10. I kind of like to judge or kind of relate my life in that. Let's say if I had one bad meeting, that doesn't mean that the entire day is messed up, or if I didn't get it, if I didn't get the job today, or if I didn't, get to close the deal today, there's still 364 other days that, for me to close the deal, or how many ever
Absolutely.
days left.
Exactly. And you know what? Like, I'm just curious. I had this like thought. How many sports teams have you worked for? How many different ones?
A lot. I can't even
Like seven, 10,
maybe 13 to 15.
13 or 15. So you've had
Yeah.
13 to 15 different coaches.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
this is what I'm curious about. So when it comes to mindset
Professionally, that's professionally.
professionally, yeah,
And
I mean
then
that's a lot. That's a lot
yeah.
of different. Well, and it's interesting because it's a lot of different coaches and a lot of different cultures and a lot of
Hmm.
different teams. And
Hmm.
so like you've learned from a lot of different coaches. Is there any coach that stands out for you in their like way they taught mindset or coached mindset?
My college coach, Travis Ford, he was a really tough coach, old school, hard nosed, practice hard. How you do one thing is how you do everything, and he made sure that we were intentional with our time putting into the gym, and I was able to see the benefits from that, and to move forward and play professionally in the NBA and leagues all across the world. And I think being with that team and that culture and that structure definitely helped. And all it did was, I guess, add on to the already, established mindset that I already had, from my father.
Wow. And so your college coach and your parents, but not necessarily any of these other coaches made that much of an imprint on you.
No, but I think professionally by that time, I was pretty much set in, my understanding of who I am, what I had to do, how I play, what motivates me,
Yeah.
and things like that. So by the time I was a professional athlete, was pretty, I had my mindset pretty much made up and clear.
Oh, okay, interesting. I get like fascinated by the way about the coaches because I'm a coach and I love the pregame, that pregame, whatever. Do you have a name for that? Whatever you do pregame.
Pre-game routine, talks, and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is just the best for me. And I don't know, I was watching the Super Bowl and I don't watch sports. I got to be honest, Gary, like I'm not like a huge sports person, but
Okay.
I like to watch the pregame ritual, whatever that
Hmm.
is. And I think it was one of the Super Bowls and that's the coach was screaming, "Who has it better than us?" And they're like,
Hmm.
"Nobody." And I'm like, and he screams it again and I was like, I just love that. I
Yeah.
love that like idea that nobody has it better than you, right?
Hmm.
That you're
Hmm.
like in love with this moment of time that you're about to go into and you're super excited and there's like high energy. I love that. I
Hmm.
love that. So, I mean, mindset, energy, all of that is so important and especially as we're coming up against things that are hard.
Yeah, yeah, it does. I think if you have a strong foundation, I mean, foundations are what keep houses and buildings and structures in place. So if you're able to start that really, really early, which I was super fortunate to have, the dad that I, grew up with to make sure that I had a strong foundation and confidence in myself and who I am and, what I was meant to do in this experience. So I think it definitely shapes how you interpret adversity. Two people in the same room can interpret the experience totally different. One person, may see a challenge and be like, man, my day is ruined or my year is ruined. Another person may look at it, it's like this is a test, and no testimony without a test.
No testimony without a test. Amazing, amazing. All right. So we have the mindset. How about the next ingredient, optimism?
I think that's my biggest superpower, is, just finding a silver lining, finding the positive. I mean, it has to. There's zero way that there's not a silver lining in every situation. I know that there are extreme cases and, bad, unfortunate things happen, but I don't know. I just always believe that there's a silver lining that maybe sometimes we don't understand or we don't get until later on in life, and then you realize it's like that aha moment. It's like, oh man, that's why I went through that in order to get here.
Yeah.
In perfect example for me, I would have loved to have a 15, 20-year career like a LeBron James, but due to knee surgeries and health situations, I was put in a situation where I had to find my purpose and my why. And super fortunate and grateful that I went through all those, tough experiences and tough, challenges and all that adversity because, I look back, it's like, man, it, made me stronger. I have a better mindset, an even stronger mindset than I did before. And then finding my purpose and seeing that come to fruition, I think has been my greatest victory. Besides being a father, that's my number one. But besides that, I think just that optimism and having that every day. It's not easy because I know difficult things happen, but it's that mindset was able to shape my optimistic viewpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And like, do you remember the moment of time where you were like, wow, this is why I had to go through this? Was it like a moment or a series of moments?
A couple series of moments. My first one was when I was playing professionally. A parent had came to a softball event that we were hosting, Strikeout for Diabetes, with the Gary Forbes Foundation. And mom came up to me and she said, "Thank you so much for what you do and who you are." And I'm just like, "Man, I'm just Gary Forbes who played basketball. I don't think I'm better than anyone." And she told me a story about her son wanted to try out for the team. I think he was in fourth grade at the time, and his dad picks him up from school with his best friend, and they get in the car, and the kid asks like, "Dad, I want to go to basketball practice tryout tomorrow." And the dad, says that, "No, no, you can't because you have type 1 diabetes." Fortunately, his friend was next to him, and his friend goes, "Gary Forbes has diabetes, and he plays in the NBA." So that right there was a really, really cool experience. I was like, wow, that's like me. I was able to inspire somebody else to, go out and go after their dreams or aspirations. And I've had parents and people reach out to me in the type 1 diabetes community, asking for advice. And it's still so surreal to me that like they're asking me like
Yeah.
for advice, like who, I'm still in this experience trying to, get the best out of every day. And people, are inspired by me. And, sometimes I don't feel that's just my personality. I feel I guess overwhelmed with joy and gratitude that, like, man, I can't, still, it's surreal.
Yeah. It is surreal. It's surreal when you can make an impact in somebody's life. And, it's just by you living your best life. By you living your best life, you've inspired other people to live theirs, which
Yeah.
is cool. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's cool.
I love that. And, it is a sense of purpose. It's the I don't know, how do we say this? It's the manifestation of your purpose when you see something like that, and you
Mhm.
see it come back to you. I love that. I love that story. And was there any other story? You said there might have been one other time.
Yeah, there were a couple of people that reached out to me. I've have a close relationship with a huge diabetes influencer who saw a story about me in the Denver, newspaper where he was in college at the time, and he's also a type 1 diabetic, and he had the it was fortunate that I play for that team. He reads that Sunday paper and he gets inspired. It's just cool just to be able to be that, I guess, that resonating light for a kid or a parent to kind of understand like, all right, if this guy can play in the NBA with type 1 diabetes, then my kid can, do anything he wants to. Especially when I don't tell people it's like, oh, it's so challenging. Even when I tell kids, when I have camps or any kind of events, I tell kids, yo, you have 100% chance to do anything you want in life. It's those days add up. If you have bad attitudes, 50% or more of of your experience, unfortunately, you're going to manifest that.
Yeah.
And, if you put, those days together, getting 1% better every day, then, at the end, you're going to have a pretty good life.
Awesome. So inspiring. Thank you. All right, let's get to the next ingredient, consistency and stick-to-itiveness.
Yes.
Stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah, you got to stick to it.
Stick to it.
I'm a big believer in, commitment. Consistency, brings on, if you do something consistently every single day, it becomes muscle memory. I take, for instance, shooting basketball. Steph Curry does the same shooting routine, same form every single day, more than any single person has probably done in their life. That's why he's Steph Curry. And that goes to, you know, billionaires and all these different people who've done successful things. They do the mundane, repetitive, boring things consistently every single day. And they have that optimistic mindset, and they have the foundational mindset of, how they interpret challenges. So all those three things together shape up to, you have a successful experience in life, whatever you do. I believe in the 10,000 hour rule. Anything that you do for 10,000 hours repeatedly, you become a professional at it. I've done it twice now. I've become a professional basketball player, and now I'm a published author. The goal is to get to a New York Times bestseller, so I have to, consistently and stick to it. With the optimistic mindset that that's going to happen, and I don't see no other way. I don't see no other way for it not to happen. So that too, being intentional with your purpose, your vision, all those things mixed together, I'm sure creates a very, very good life for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a lot to learn and a lot to do. And if you just stick with it and don't give up, I think that's a differentiating factor.
Yeah, from health to wellness to sports to education, every single thing, everything revolves around being consistent and optimistic. I don't
Yeah.
at least I don't know anyone who's like, man, I hate this job, or I hate this, and they're successful people.
Oh, right, right, right. You know what I'm interested in is this consistency thing. When you were playing professionally, tell me what like a day would look like for you.
Depends on the day. Game days are a little bit different than practice days and off days, but in the NBA we practice. Well, I would get there early, say 8 or like 7 or 8 a.m. Get a lift in, a workout in before practice at 11. Then would have let's say something light to eat in the arena before practice. Practice from 11 to 1. Go home, get a rest, come back late at night to, sharpen my skills and, shoot again. So usually that was the day. You're putting in time into your craft. So, I didn't look at it as work. This was fun. I'm getting better at my skill set, at my craft. And that's how I looked at it. And I always think sports ties into real life
Hmm.
because you're learning about these different real life skills like being dependable, accountable, and showing up on time, and doing the diligent work to make sure the team is successful.
Wow. Well, what did the game day look like?
Game days were pretty simple. We'd come shoot around, go over the team's plays, and go home, get something to eat, and back at the arena for a game.
Okay.
Yeah, it
And
was
then,
usually lighter.
all right. And you had days off on the weekend where you didn't work out at all?
Not usually. Something I always did something, whether it be, massage or something to do for my body. So it's technically not a day off, because I'm still doing something to, prepare myself.
Interesting. Wow. All right. Now I have a question that's not on the agenda. Do you have any like Garyisms or like quotes that you say?
Your present situation is not your final destination. That's one of my uh, favorite ones, and doubt your doubts before you doubt your faith, even though that's not mine, but I live by that, because I'm just a positive thinker. And another one is just be. Just I think everyone wants to. I think we put ourselves in boxes as well as society puts us in boxes, and then we put ourselves in an even smaller or tighter box. And I don't think people understand how impactful your mindset can be for your life. And if you're just, let go of these constrictions, I think your mind creates your reality. So if your mind is constricted in this box, like your reality is going to be pretty, constricted, almost suffocating. I think if you're able to just, open up and, be accepting and see optimistic opportunities, to see yourself winning, to see yourself in a positive light. I don't see why would anyone. Granted, there are situations, people living in underserved communities and horrible situations. But even you do have those outliers that make it out of those situations. So, what did they do that they can replicate or kind of do that over and over and over again? And I think it usually starts with your mindset and consistency to want to get out of there, and belief.
Yeah.
Belief is a really big thing. You got to see it to believe it for it to become real. Everything that is in our experience, everything that we can touch, feel, started with a thought. This shirt, this hat, the microphone that you're speaking on, the cell phone, it all started with a thought. So if your thoughts become reality, so think good things.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Gary, what are you working on now? What can we see next from the amazing Gary Forbes?
I am working to be like a New York Times bestseller, like I told you. Partnerships in the gaming space. We are gamifying health and wellness with the Soul Survivors. Set to launch our app next month, our health and wellness app, which will, inspire kids to see themselves as superheroes and inspire them to, do the hard work, because I believe that hard work is the ingredient to a successful experience, whether it be through education, through your health. Like all these things require hard work, and I like to say all work is easy work. So it's just work.
Awesome. Well, Gary, thank you so much for spending time with me on the Stay on Course podcast. Hope to have you on again, maybe in the future.
Yes,
And
yeah.
any final words for our audience?
Stay on course.
Stay on course, everyone. Well, thank you so much, Gary.